Hello, I'm Jess, and I am so excited to introduce you to another incredible designer featured in our Bag Makers Club. Today, we're going to be chatting with Marty Fulton of NautiPup Designs. We'll talk about her creative journey, the story behind her unique brand, and get the inside scoop on her featured pattern this month. Welcome to the Sallie Tomato YouTube channel. If you love bag making and enjoy connecting with talented makers, this is a video that you won't want to miss. We'll share tips, inspiration, and behind the scenes stories that you can't find anywhere else. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on another video or helpful bag inspiration and tips. Thank you so much, Marty, for being here. I'm excited to chat with you today. I've been looking forward to this conversation with you. So why don't we get started with you sharing a little bit of your background? Can you tell us about yourself and how you got started with sewing and bag making?
Well, it started a long time ago when it was like back in the mid 60s, I guess. And my mom and my mama taught me the basics of sewing. So that's basically learning how to sew a straight seam, figuring out a pattern, cutting it out, how to be frugal with your fabric. My grandmother was just insistent upon that. And so they started me out on it. But then, it was like almost 5 decades later that I decided to get back into this thing and learn how to sew because the seamstress I was using unexpectedly left town. So I thought, well, maybe it's time for me to actually produce these dog custom bandanas that I was making and some wall hanging. So I just decided to watch a bunch of YouTube videos and read everything I could come across my desk. And then I did a Google search on how to sew a tote bag. And that's when Sallie Tomato popped up on my feed. So I visited your website and I thought, oh gosh, this is great. A woman owned business and they've got videos and they've got umpteen things I can learn from them. And then I discovered the beauty of cork, and that was it. I was a goner at that point. So it's easy to get hooked on bag making. I can tell you that. So I used the skills that I had learned sewing from online videos and just kind of, I used your book as a guide and just delved into it and just never looked back.
Aw, well, that's so cool to hear. And I remember seeing you post in the Facebook group, the Mackenzie bag, and
Uh-huh.
I thought immediately, like, I want to make that too. And so went out on a whim and reached out to you and was so excited to collaborate. And that is such a great pattern for cork, and just it has a really neat pocket technique. It's really fun and functional too.
I had to laugh. I saw that someone posted something about why is there a hanging pocket in there? And I just laughed to myself because I had this terrible fear of zipper installation, right? So I thought, oh, I'll just get around it this way. But it's actually a good thing to have in your sewing arsenal, I think. So you can switch it out for the zipper anytime and, to each his own.
Oh, exactly. And yeah, I mean, you build upon your bag making skills and you can tweak the patterns that work for you. And I love it. I think it's a great technique for sure. Anybody who's afraid of zippers, I think it's a great project.
Yeah. And well, I think it happens to many people. They just don't want to admit it. So, I mean, I just practiced and practiced and practiced until I got over my fear of zippers. And so now I've successfully completed that whole thing. So,
So, why don't you share a little bit about the story behind your brand name, NautiPup Designs? I think it's so fun and memorable. So, how'd you come up with that?
okay. Well, it came about when we bought a boat. And then I was involved with doing some creative bag design, not bag designs, some pattern designs for fabrics. And so at that time, I was just doing dog related artwork and nautical inspired themes. So I decided to do this business and I combined the three things that I love, which is boating and my dogs, and design work. And so that's how it came about. So I had an online store and it was fine, but there were a lot of challenges with it, especially with the supply chain issues. So that's when I decided to just take a step back and create everything on my own so I didn't have to depend upon anyone ever again. And it's working out nicely actually now, because now it's just strictly a custom creations company for bags. And I make everything special order and I collaborate with the customer. And so when you collaborate with someone like that, they feel truly vested in it. And that's what I love, because then they feel like, hey, this is part of me with this bag. And I'm going to tell you something, when you deliver that bag to the person and they see what you have created out of their inspiration as well, it's just kind of mind blowing, to tell you the truth. They get so excited. I've had people cry because they were so happy. I've had people hug the bags. And then when they go out, they're wearing them around and people stop them and they said, this is like a wearable billboard that I've got on. And then they tell the story about NautiPup and collaborating on designs. And it's just really fun.
Got to be an incredibly satisfying job to be able to do and work with the individuals, because bags can be so personal, and to pick out all the custom fabrics and pockets to make it unique to them it's special. You don't find a lot of custom things, so it's really
Yeah.
special that you offer that through your business. And I bet you get to meet people all the time and hear their stories and make friends along the way too, I'm sure. So
It's incredible, actually. I can't even tell you how gratifying it is, but it's just so much fun too.
and I know you work a lot with cork fabric, like you've mentioned. You do such a beautiful work with cork. So when you get the time to create a new bag design, where do you usually draw your inspiration for your cork bags? Is it from your customers, or do you have your own design ideas as well?
To have an online library of photos that I often refer to, of different types of styles, silhouettes, features, color combinations. I mean, that alone can be just a whole new thing, just figuring
Mm-hmm.
out what colors truly work well together. And so I look at that. It's basically just a collection of photos that I have, and that gives me a lot of inspiration. But the first thing I do is figure out the function involved with the bag. Like, how is this thing going to be ultimately used? How are they going to carry it? What do they need? What size are they looking for? And so I think when you kind of narrow down those choices, that's when you go to the fabrics and the corks and just see what speaks to you. And you think, oh, what if I do this, but maybe change it up a little bit this way to make it how they want it, and be accepting of errors that you might make along the way, and just think of them as learning experiences, because sometimes you just need to do a prototype first, or maybe three times to get everything just right. But, go easy on yourself. Have fun with it.
Oh my gosh, that's such great advice. And I feel like the sewing community is so supportive, and it's not meant to be this intimidating hobby. It's meant to be fun and creative, and like you said, try different techniques. And yeah, it does take several times, sometimes lots of seam ripping, but hey, that's, you practice and you get more and more comfortable with it. And
And you learn patience too. you know, you have to. Sometimes you just have to step away and figure out the problem and then come back to it. And that's totally fine. That's what I like to tell people. I'm like, everyone's different.
oh, I love that. So let's talk about the Bag Makers Club and your Getaway Tote pattern. This is a brand new pattern, so exciting.
Yes.
So this bag is super eye-catching with the hardware and the cork, and I think it's really practical too. So would you like to share what inspired this pattern and some of your favorite features?
Sure. It came about because last year I was going on two different trips. The first one was going out to Las Vegas for 2 nights to see Dead and Company at the Sphere. And then a month later, I went on a 12-day road trip with my dogs, and my husband. And so we went from Georgia up to New Hampshire and then back down with stops in Connecticut and Philadelphia
Oh,
area
wow.
and North Carolina. And so I had made a bag that I fondly called the Grateful Roadie Tripper. And I said, okay, well, let's see how this one works. So I got it, used it on both trips, and then used that as basically the pattern for what I wanted to create with the Getaway Tote. It was back in, I think it was like late November when I started working on the concept for it. And I needed something bigger, but the essentially the pockets were good, the zipper was pretty good, and everything was all right. But then I was talking to someone and they said, well, what about offering like a machine quilting option? I thought, well, that could be fun too. So what I did is I included that in the pattern. It's an option. You can just do this bag with no quilting at all, and that's fine. And you have your cork on the bottom base. But when you see the difference of what adding a little machine quilting can do to some fabrics that you can outline, it gives us a really plush look. And it's really, it sets it off. That bag actually has enormous storage space in it. And I'm not kidding you can pack change of clothes, shoes, your makeup, if you're taking it to the pool, you can take all your sunscreens, you name it. And then it has this 12-inch pocket, zippered pocket. You can stash your phone, and it can be outfitted with a pocket divider that has credit cards into there. So you can safely put away your money and your credit cards, zip it up, and you don't have to worry about a thing. So that's basically, I think the thing I love about that bag the most is just use that big exterior as a beautiful canvas. I mean, you can do whatever you want on it, and every bag's going to be different that way.
Oh, you just thought of everything. And I love how you like actually tested it out on your trips too to see if what worked well and to make any modifications for the pattern, and like all the extra add-ons too are just really cool and make it a really good pattern for sure. So great for
And it's
travel.
not hard to make either. That's the other thing. I would really want to stress to people, do not get afraid of the size of it because it's very straightforward pattern.
Mhm.
And it comes together pretty fast too.
Do you have any tips for those who are constructing the bag? If there's any pinch points that you can think of that maybe slow down at a certain spot?
Yeah, I would say that one of the most important things is making sure that the handle area, that when you're installing that on the front and back exterior, make sure that is sufficiently interfaced, because those metal handles, as beautiful as they are a bit heavy. And so you got to make sure that you've got some Decoville behind it to make it sturdy, and your little Loctite in the screws. That's always helpful. And there's also, some people like a little bit more support for the sides, and you can also add a little bit of Decoville on the side areas of the top panel if you feel like it might be slouching a little bit. But some people like a slouchy look too. So it's up to everyone's choice. But other than that, I would just say, everything's outlined. I've put those types of hints in the pattern. So hopefully, if you see something that perplexes you, you can say, oh, let me go back to that tip, and maybe she has a solution for it.
Once you add your items inside too, you really want to make sure those handles are nice and secure to be able to hold the weight too. So it's a really good tip. Do you have any other tips that you'd like to share just generally about sewing, or what's the best piece of advice? I know you've shared some advice already about sewing and bag making, working with cork. Is there any other advice you'd like to share with maybe somebody who's a beginner?
Well, I would say this: keep it simple and classy when you're deciding on which kind of bag to do. The thing that drives me a bit crazy when I see a pattern that has like 10 or more pockets. I mean, who needs that? That's just going to be confusing. I'm going to lose everything that I have because I can't find it in all those pockets. So I did a lot of research on top designers and found that most of these high-end bag people have no more than 3 pockets, and they focus their bags on craftsmanship by using the best materials they can afford, and then also just exact, precise stitching. Try to strive to perfection as much as you can. You're going to have mistakes, and that's okay. That's how you learn. But I think if you just keep it simple and don't overthink, don't overcomplicate, just if you get into a tricky situation, take a step back, and then just figure out, well, maybe I can simplify it in this way and I'll still get the same end result. So that's basically what I like to tell people to do. Just, enjoy the ride because it's so much fun.
Oh, for sure. And I think too, like if you try to do it all, add it all, use all the different materials, it can be that's where it kind of gets overwhelming too. So, keeping it more simple, especially like if you're just starting out with bag making, you don't have to dive into something super complex and
Yes.
just kind of scale it back.
Yes.
I made a bag once and I thought I wanted a bunch of pockets in it. And then when I was actually using it, yeah, I couldn't find anything. So
I know.
yeah, I was having the hardest time.
Too many options.
Yeah, yeah. It was harder to stay organized. Who would have thought? Creativity can be sparked, I think, in so many different ways. And I would love to hear kind of how do you keep the inspiration flowing when you're working on your designs? I know you have your design folder that you can reference with lots of ideas.
Right.
Are there any other inspirations that you draw from?
Well, I always have my sketchbook handy, and then I use my iPad to draw on a lot of my designs because that's how I learned fabric design is like just sketching stuff out on my iPad. And that way, I can grab different color combinations. I can actually do screenshots of certain corks and place them in a sort of a mock-up for a
Oh,
bag.
that's fun.
And so I can do that. And then I can see, oh, let's see what kind of handle looks best with this type of thing. Maybe it needs a metal handle. Maybe it needs just a simple grab handle. Maybe it just needs a webbing strap or whatever. And then when you're doing that on an iPad, it's so easy just to like build it on layers. So you can go, switch them out as you find necessary. And it just makes it easier for me. That's just how I think. So I do that a lot.
It's like digital sewing before you
Yeah,
actually sew.
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's fun. So, why don't you share with everybody when you're not sewing or designing, what do you enjoy doing to relax and recharge?
Well, my number one favorite thing to do is to go up to Lake Lanier Islands with my husband Steve and our 2 dogs, Birdie and Blakely, for a day of anchoring out, floating and swimming, and just relaxing. It just recharges my creativity and gives me a nice break from everyday life. And then I spend time with my son, Jordan, and his the dog, who is my grandpup. And then I like to cook, so I come up with new recipes a lot, especially recipes that are good for 2 people that are retired. So you make it so that it's easier, on your budget and to prepare for just 2 people. And then a lot of times I like to take photographs of, wherever I'm on vacation, and that's my favorite thing to do. I find so much beauty in the things around me, and sometimes we just all just need to take a break from life and stop and just gaze around us and appreciate there is out there.
Oh, that's just such great advice too. And I know we've talked about like how much we both love spending time on the lake. It's just such a great way to like clear your head and really reset. I don't know, there's something about the fresh air and the water.
The
It's
water is
just,
healing.
it is. So back to sewing, I think we all have our favorite go-to notion that you always reach for when you're working on a project. So what is your favorite tool that you just can't live without?
To be honest, it would be a seam ripper.
Oh no.
Because it just needs to be wherever I am just in case I need it. But no, the other things, I have two tools that I love, and that is my Cam Snaps press to install hardware. What a time saver. And it gives such professional looks that I love that. And also I use a Cricut heat press to fuse my interfacing. And that has also been a huge time saver.
Yeah, and I use my seam ripper all the time for installing different hardware too, right? So it's used more for than just seam ripping, but it's a nice little
That's
tool
true.
for sure.
Yeah, I think about it. I have a creative bunker, as I call it, and then I have my sewing room. And there's a seam ripper in each place. So I always have one readily available for whatever I need because it gets in small areas when you need to just adjust something or whatever. It's not just for ripping out your mistakes. So embrace the seam ripper.
Totally agree. So as we wrap up, what's something that viewers might be surprised to learn about you as a designer? Is there anything else that you'd like to share about yourself?
I'm very proud of this new initiative that I'm doing. And I came up with it after I retired in August, and it's called the Grateful Project. And this is a way for me to show my gratitude and appreciation for people that have inspired me along the way, either through their music, through their artwork, or just gestures of kindness. And it's a way just to say thank you for that. So, back in December, I did my first bag for someone, and I thought of her guitar playing, her clothes that she wears on stage, how powerful her voice is, and her general vibe is just, it's eclectic and wonderful. And her name is Susan Tedeschi. And I was able to have a bag delivered to her through a friend of mine who is also friends with her. So that was really cool. And then I just went to a concert in Miramar Beach and had a bag delivered to Bonnie Raitt. And that was also fun. I just thought about the setting where
Oh,
I was going to
wow.
see her, and I made her a beautiful blue cork bag because she wears a lot of blues, I know, and she has a guitar that's also blue. So I knew I was going to be safe with that color choice. And then I've also gifted bags to people who are battling cancer, and I make them a chemo bag so that they can have everything they need in one place when they're there getting treatments. So this is my new thing to do in my twilight years, is just to show gratitude to people, and I hope to do some more in the future.
Oh, Marty, that's so beautiful. Like
Mhm.
that's amazing of you to spend your time to give those special bags.
Well, I think it's good because I also include a handwritten note so they know it's just not from some crazy fan or whatever, and I give them point by point examples of what they have done to help me through some tough times or help me celebrate a fun time, that it brings
Mhm.
back a wonderful memory. And I hope that they appreciate it. I did find out that one of them truly, really loves her bag, and she uses it when she's on the road going to gigs.
Isn't sewing just such a special hobby? It's just such a fulfilling thing.
That's the thing that I try to tell people. I'm passionate about it because I think it needs more recognition, to tell you the truth. I think people really need to know that there's more to sewing than just making an apron like they used to in the old days. Now it's just amazing what people can do.
Oh, for sure. It's an art form. It's a great way to it's therapeutic, and I think it's just an all-around great hobby that we're all just cheerleaders for, and help teach others and answer questions and encourage them to give it a try too. So.
And we got to share our love of bag making just one at a time. Just every time you give a bag that you've made this for someone, take a minute and look at the faces that they're the smiles. I mean, it's wonderful. And you'll find that it was worth every bit of effort that you put into it.
Well, Marty, it has truly been a pleasure chatting with you. I loved hearing more about your story and your design process, and thank you for sharing all of that. If you would like to share where everybody can follow you online and they can find your patterns, your custom creations.
It's NautiPupDesigns.com. And then I'm on Facebook and trying to get on Instagram. It's just another thing to do right now, but I will promise that I'm going to have more stuff on there. And then also, if you're in the Atlanta metro area, I wanted to tell you that reach out to me via email. I host a NautiPup sip and see parties a couple times a year in my home, and you can come visit, see what I'm creating. And if you want to buy a bag, then we'll sit down and collaborate right there on the spot, and we'll get it in the works. Or, just reach out to me, and I'm always available by email. And, I look forward to hearing from people. I'm excited to share this new bag pattern, and hopefully there's going to be more to come.
Thank you so much, Marty, for sharing your story, your tips, and creativity with us today. It was such a pleasure to chat with you and learn more about your design process and your featured pattern. We hope you feel inspired to make Marty's Getaway Tote and share your version with us. Don't forget to tag your photos with #BagMakersClub and #SallieTomato. We would love to see what you make. If you enjoyed this interview, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next featured designer. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.